Welcome to the show today. Today, we're going to be talking about how to make your brand more powerful. Today, our guest is Mr. Brian Gregory. He is the CEO and founder of ADMANITY.com. His company created a breakthrough emotional algorithm that can instantly give any business the advertising strategies, tactics, and formulas that helps businesses more effective in the market without the high cost of hiring an agency. Brian says small businesses should advertise just like the big brands, but usually they just don't know how. And today he's going to reveal how to do that. Let's welcome Brian to the show. How you doing, Brian?
I'm great, Brandy. Thanks for having me today. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we had a chance to chat a little bit. And so tell us more about Amenity and how you got started.
Sure. The algorithm and all the things that you'll read about on our website, really, it was born out of adversity. I used to be in the publishing industry and the agency business and marketing and advertising and all that stuff. Dealt with thousands and thousands of small businesses over 20 years. And no matter how many businesses I met with and consulted with and sold ads to, what I found was when they had to sit down and create their own ads, they didn't know what to do. They did their best. They asked friends and family, and often those people don't know much more than you do, even less. And they did the best they could, but a lot of times they would complain that, hey, this ad's not really working. Why isn't my ad working? Of course, they blame the magazine because that's the last thing they did was buy an ad. And we try to explain to them, well, it's not our magazine, it's on every corner. It might be your ad. Why don't we change your ad? So this was a pattern that just recurred 1,000 times. This wasn't once in a while. This was almost every time because small businesses are never educated. Schools don't teach it. Agencies don't give up that information unless you pay them. And there's just no place to go where you can just find the answers, especially for your brand. So that set me on a mission. I said, you know what, I'm going to do something because I'm losing customers in my magazine. This is crazy just because they don't have a good ad. And I found that when we fixed the ads up and we made them great, the customers were really, really happy. And so AdManity came about as a system to create advertising that any small business can use. We can analyze any brand in 5 minutes, and then we can prescribe all the strategies, the tactics, the formulas that they might need, even the copywriting, the words. It's amazing. So that they can start on a new level. They can have professional agency level advice.
That's really awesome. So the key to this particular form, the algorithm, a focus on emotion. Why the emotion part?
Great question. If you analyze the greatest ads of all time, and there's so many that you could spend a year just looking at them, and you wondered why does this ad create 1,000% increase in sales, whereas this ad looks pretty good also, but it doesn't do anything. And you find out very quickly that it's all emotion. Everything comes down in human decision making comes down to emotion. We don't logically reach too many conclusions.
True.
If I say what's 2 + 2, you say 4. There's a rational decision. But if I say what's your favorite color, all of a sudden emotions are now kicking in and to help you kind of decide. So advertising uses emotions as triggers to guide people to the conclusions we'd like them to have about our brand. All the greatest ads are emotional, and it came down to 15 emotions after we looked at so many ads. The same 15 emotions were popping up. So these are the 15 the 15 emotions that AdManity uses. These are the emotions that have sold everything since the dawn of product time. Everything that's been sold, everything you've ever bought, everything you ever will buy will be triggered by these 15 emotions. And once you master a few of those, it becomes very simple to market your brand. You don't have to become an advertising guru. You just have to know the emotions of your brand, and that's what we show you.
That's really awesome. So in these 15 emotions that is always, I guess, seamlessly come up during the process of, evaluating the company, what is the main emotion that always hit the top of the list?
Oh boy, there's a lot of popular, the emotions, just for the people that are listening, let's list a few just so you get an idea what we're talking about. There's authority, which is based on trust, and affinity, which is based on happiness. service, which is based on ease and convenience. Then there's temptation, which is based on desire and a wanting. Then there's attraction, which is based on transformation. There's innovation, curiosity, urgency, fear of loss. And so you get the idea that these are all we call them primal, okay? You're born with them more or less. Most humans develop these simple emotions. We know what prestige is. We know what admiration is. We know what happiness is. We all know that. So over time, we all sort of become similar. And that's why advertising can even work. If everybody was completely unique, advertising wouldn't work on anybody. And so what we see is that it's not one emotion that constantly pops up. People would say, yeah, fear of loss, that's a great one. You know, it is if you're trying to get people to do something urgently, but not everybody needs that kind of a decision. So what we find is that the emotions combine. It's not the single emotions that are so powerful. They're very interesting. But when they combine with the others, that's when you get the formulas. That's when you get the trigger points, when they combine. So at Manity, we figured out which ones combine well and create an even bigger reaction, sort of like a chemical reaction almost in a way. By themselves, they're very nice and they're interesting. When they combine, that's when your brand starts to grow.
Wow. So how can a business use the results of Amenity? So how do they use those results effectively so they can kind of compete with the big boys?
Good question. And that's a great point, that you can compete with the big boys. A lot of people in small business think, oh, I'm small, I can't do that. I don't have the money, I don't have the power, I don't have the market reach, the shelf space, the distribution, 100 excuses. And I'll tell you something that's interesting. The biggest fear of the biggest brands is that one day all the small brands will wake up and start using the exact same tactics they're using against them. Because once the secret gets out, once you see the formulas and you understand why they work, there's, words are free, emotions are free. Anybody can use these if you just understood them. So it's interesting that everything comes back to that, and the small businesses feel like they can't do it, but they can. And so what we give you in the report is the combinations for your brand. You take a 5-minute test online. It analyzes your brand emotionally, which has never probably been done before. Now we got an idea of the emotional core of your brand. Now it makes it easy to start recommending certain formulas. So we'll give you actual ads. We'll say, take a look at this ad. It combines this emotion, and that's what sells your product. And then now take a look at this ad. And again, we actually give you 16 different ways to sell your brand, just in case you want to use one for social media. You might want to use one for your magazine ad, or maybe one for radio. So they'll all fit. It's like 16 roads all going to the same great place, the sale of your product or service. But there's just not one way to get there. And there's many combinations. There's millions of possible combinations, but we only show you the ones that actually work for your brand. Those are the only ones business people really care to see, because that's what works. That's what makes money.
This is so true. So this tool is so awesome because it's really focused on the emotion of the audience and whom you're trying to target. Prior to Amenity coming to the market, how was businesses advertising incorrectly?
Well, that's a long answer. I'm going to make it short. You could list these things forever. Prior to ADMANITY, there was really nothing out there that could analyze a brand. You could take a personality test for your own personality, and that wouldn't do you much good for your brand. So there really wasn't anything out there that was this in depth. This is why it took us 7 years to create the algorithm and the test. It wasn't done in a weekend. So prior to this, what most businesses would do is they just turn their ad into a book report. And they say, oh, these are all the things I love about our brand. So put all those things in the ad, and put our logo in there too, and our picture in there. And Paul, here, put these 5 things in the ad. And before you know it, the ad turns into a boring tell-all, which just doesn't work. It just can't work. The human mind, what we say in ADMANITY is you need to prepare the ad to communicate with the subconscious mind. You and I are talking here consciously. We're all very
Okay.
conscious right now. Everybody's listening is very conscious, but messages work on the subconscious, and feelings and emotions and moods and your dreams and your goals, your aspirations, your fears, your phobias, all your emotions, your memories, everything is in the subconscious. This is the best customer you'll ever find for your brand. If you can talk to the subconscious mind of your customer, well, now you got something. You had a conversation that actually will make sales. So we show you how to talk in terms of emotional messaging, emotional feelings. So, for example, you might think you're a plumber, and you are, but you shouldn't just talk about plumbing. Not everybody even needs plumbing right now, but someday they might. And they're going to think, who do I know in the plumbing business? And they're not going to remember all the features and the different ways you can turn a wrench. They're going to remember the brand they liked. They're going to remember the brand that made them feel comfortable. Maybe they remember the brand that had a great slogan or a great claim. That's all they're going to remember. It's a feeling. And people buy brands. They don't buy businesses. They buy brands. And you build brands emotionally. You never build them on facts. Facts can always be argued. The rational argument will always be picked on, and smart people always want to pick everything apart, right? But the emotion in a message always wins. Case in point, have you ever had an argument with your spouse or friend where you had all the facts in your hand and they had all the emotions in theirs?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
You didn't win, did you?
No.
No, the emotions always win.
Yeah.
Emotions trump facts. They squash facts. They
Oh,
literally
yeah.
just go right through them. If your ad is filled with facts, that's great, but there better be some emotion in there somewhere, and you better use the right emotions for your type of brand, and that's what we show you. There's certain ones work, and certain emotions just are ineffective. So, and you see it over and over and over again. Brands repeat. They use the same formulas, or a different brand will use the same formula, but it's got their logo in it now, and it keeps working. It just works over and over. It's the way our humans are.
That's very interesting that you said that, these brands kind of use kind of the same thing over and over. One has the very smiley face that kicks down the prices. The other one has another circle that has a dog. The oval, brands had a better emotion than the square, if you will. So
Mhm.
a case in point that emotions is not only just based on internal things, but also what you can see. And that also drives your emotion. And that's why I love this tool that you have so much. But how can a small business use this particular strategy to fit their brand, especially when you're trying to compete with other brands that have like the inside scoop and they're just literally learning, from your tool?
Good question. We try to make it so simple that people think, "Oh, I'm not good at advertising. I've never been good at this, you know, and I can't afford to hire the agency to figure this out for me. Can I actually understand what you're about to give me?" And I'll mention that the price of this is $397, folks. So this is literally equal to about $1 a day. This is not a big expense. I'll tell you the big expense when you spend $10,000 on advertising that doesn't work. That is a big expense.
Oh,
So
yes.
what we do is we'll show you, everything's written in very simple terms. The manual that we give you, we call it the owner's manual for your brand, is actually 150 pages of information, but you won't have to read it all. You just read little bits of it for what you need today, like an owner's manual for your car. You wouldn't read the whole thing. So we give you simple pictures, words, and explanations as to why it works. This is the psychology. Here's why it works. You don't have to understand everything about psychology. You just have to know it works. I don't understand how a light turns on, but I know how to flip the switch. And so it's very similar. You can just do what we say. We have a formula called 1 + 2 = 3. This is as mathematical as we get. We're not geniuses over here with math. 1 + 2, meaning one emotion plus the second emotion equals the emotion of your brand, and what we're trying to get to, the feeling they must have in their mind just before they pull out the credit card. They will have a feeling that they want to buy this, or trust this, or feel comforted by this, or they just like it. Like in Geico, why does Geico associate a lizard, a screaming pig, and a caveman to insurance? It has absolutely nothing to do with insurance. but they know you don't like insurance. So it has everything to do with liking the brand. You know, it's just fun. Geico's just a big fun commercial. Every time you see one, you know, it's going to be funny. Well, when the time comes around to buy some insurance, they hope you like the likable brand. And now you've seen other insurance companies all follow suit, because Geico was once an unknown insurance company. Nobody ever heard of it. Now they're
This
number
is true.
2 in the country. And so that's what happens when you hit formula. Formula is when brands go boom. I can give you more examples of brands that were literally struggling, brands you've heard of your whole life, and you have no idea that at one time they weren't making it at all. Then they hit formula and they've never stopped. And so small businesses need to know these formulas, because if it works for the other big brands, it'll work for you too. I mean, humans are the same, whether they're looking at a commercial for a small brand or a commercial for a big brand. It's the same brain, same emotions, same person, same couch, right? So it doesn't really matter. Use the tactics they're using every day in the marketplace for yourself for a change, instead of just being the person in front of the TV. You can be the person with the persuasive skills. They're all so simple. I think once people get into the curriculum, and I know, for example, you took our analysis and you haven't had a chance yet to dig deep into it. But once you do, it opens your mind. It just blows your mind how many options you have that you never thought you had before. And the idea is we find just flow like a river, man. You just get more and more into your own self. For the first time, you understand your own brand, right? And that is so critical to getting it out. You can't sell your brand to the world until you know what attracts the world to your brand.
Wow,
And we say
that's a powerful statement.
it's one of our mantras here, and and it's so true. I'm a small business guy. You're a small business guy. Most 99% of all business people are, and we're wrapped up in the minutia of the day, the bills and the tasks and the oh my gods that hit our desk. So we don't think in the center of the onion. We're living on the outside of the onion, always, reacting. But the emotions, what ADMANITY does is we peel back the onion and say, guess what? Underneath all that stuff that you call your brand are these 3 or 4 emotions that are going to drive your brand upward. And like I said before, you could be a plumber, but you might as well just give up if all you're selling is plumbing. You better sell happiness. You better solve problems. You better sell a family that is relieved that they don't have this burden anymore that you've been able to remove. It's not about plumbing. It's never going to be about the product. The products are almost secondary to the perception that the consumer feels. This is what advertising does. It changes your perception about a brand. The brand is what it is. If people think it's great, it's great. If people think it's awful, guess what? It's awful. And there's nothing you can do about it except change the perception. There's a great line in Mad Men that the old TV show. I love Mad Men. And it says, if you don't like what's being said, change the conversation. And so I tell brands, if you don't like where you are, if you don't like your market share, if you think the sales are down, and if you think your salespeople aren't doing what they should, and everything is just slow speed, change the conversation. I can show you how to turn up the volume from a 2 to a 10 in 5 minutes, and you'll know the exact formulas for your brand. Guess what? You're going to be a lot happier.
That's awesome. You really hit a lot of points that I was going to ask within this one question, how brands kind of vitalize themselves, they revitalize themselves when they're going down, like a Geico. And for many years, even no one know who McDonald's was until McDonald's literally changed that I'm loving you. Then it came out and it was like, it just blew up. And it became literally a pop culture, even to this day. And so these brands, they literally go out and spend tons of money. So the question is, what would an ad agency charge for something that ADMANITY does?
It's an interesting question. I've had some ad agency friends look at this, of course, and I said, okay, guys, just hit me. Of course, they would do it differently, right? They would spend weeks. They would put a team of people on it. They would have a lot of meetings, a lot of questions, a lot of answers. This is how you the old way, I guess, and it's still a good way. We love ad agencies, by the way. We're not down on them, but this is the method. You have to get into the customer's head and ask them a million questions. And some weeks later, they would hand you a document, and they would charge you $5,000 to $10,000 for that document, because that's how much time and effort they've put into it. And then you'd be on your way to, now you could start to create the ads. This is not even ad yet. This is pre-ad strategy. So I can honestly say that when we give you your ADMANITY report, we've done that homework for you. You could even hand it to an ad agency and say, well, here's 16 strategies, and here's all the copywriting words. By the way, here's the colors. By the way, here's the upsells. Here's the win back strategies when we lose a client, because when that happens every once in a while, right? So, and then now ad agency could take over and get creative with it now that the strategies have been fully, thought through and given to them. It's so much faster for them that way. And you won't be charged $10,000. You'll be charged for ad creation, which is what you really want an agency for, because they're brilliant at doing that. So yeah, I would say it's thousands of dollars. We charge $397, and we do something no ad agency does. We will give you a 30-day unconditional money back guarantee. So you can read every word. It all appears for you in a digital viewing station called your portal. We give that to you. There's tons of podcasts and free stuff in there to study and learn. Your report is in there. Your test results are in there. Everything's in there. And 30 days, look at it, read it, hand it to your staff, pass it around, show everybody what your ADMANITY report has to say. And if you don't think it's about the best thing you've ever seen for your brand, at about the lowest price you'll ever see, then get a refund, and we're happy to do it. We don't do it very often, but we're happy to do it. We know what's in there, and we know how much work. It took 7 years to create. There are thousands and thousands of pages of curriculum that you don't see, but that's had to be created so that we could give everybody the right results. It's not one size fits all. And so everything, when you took your test, that is the only test like your test in the world. Because as you're answering these questions, it's figuring out what questions to ask you next. And folks, they're all true, false questions. There's no privacy. We don't ask your numbers or your statistics or how many employees you have. We don't even know what you do. Here's the amazing thing I think about the test. Most amazing thing, nobody tells us what their business is. They take the test first, answer all the questions, and then you could lie at the end. You could say, I'm a Burger King or something, and you're actually, an accounting practice. We wouldn't know, but we know the emotions. We figured you out, and we will show you exactly what you are emotionally, even though you never told us anything about your brand. And that's why, and we don't want to know. We don't want to know your numbers. We don't care about your employees. Don't care how long you've been in business. Matters nothing to us. What matters is we get to the emotions, because the only thing humans buy is emotional triggers. They don't buy on logic. They don't buy because you have a lot of employees. They buy because you touched them in some way, and emotionally, always and forever. And so that's what the test does while you're answering these simple, true, false questions. It's figuring you out. And people say it's kind of interesting, because towards the end of the test, all the questions start to make a whole lot more sense, because it's getting right on top of your brand. It's figuring you out pretty quickly, really. 5 minutes. That's pretty fast.
Wow. So this has really pumped me up to literally go back, look at the results and read more, because it's just such a great tool for small businesses to have, and it's affordable. That is the key. It's affordable for just about any small business that's out there that want to kind of revitalize their marketing strategy and compete in the marketplace with the big boys. Tell us more about what you got going on in the future, and how can we look for you on social media?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, it's you can find, if you just go to Google and type in ADMANITY, it's ADMANITY. You just type in ADMANITY, you're going to get 6-7 pages of social media, podcasts, our website, of course. There's a lot of information there, and so it's everywhere. But you can just go to admanity.com and start reading as well. Then when you do take the test, You get access to an insider assortment of materials that the public doesn't see. So you have your own training materials. We just come out with a super program that I believe we're going to promote with your show. When you go to admanity.com/BCFS. So admanity.com/BCFS. And that will give you a free report that you can download. And that will give you, that's like your ticket to get into what we call the Founders Club. And the Founders Club is going to give you extra benefits, consultations with someone like myself, maybe even myself, and probably will be myself. And we'll have just all kinds of bonus materials, same price, same exact price, not 1 penny more. But it's just the best way to go. So when you're ready, make sure that you go to the admanity.com/BCFS, right? Yeah, BCFS. And then you'll be on the right track, and you'll get a lot more bonus. It's only for the first 200 people though, so I would move quick, because once the show airs, thousands of people are going to probably see it, hear it, and go there. So yeah, and we're on all the social media, Facebook, LinkedIn. You can go to LinkedIn and I'll talk to you. I'll actually return your message. Just go to Brian Gregory, LinkedIn, AdManity. It'll come right to me, and we can get started. We work with agencies. We have agency level software. We work with small businesses who just want their answers. We work with large organizations such as chambers of commerce and big groups of business people who want to make this available to their community. So we have all kinds of different programs to help all different types of businesses, because our goal is to get this into the hands of over 1 million small businesses. Because I don't know about you, Brandy, but I'm sick of hearing that 80% of businesses fail.
Yeah.
And this is pre-COVID. This was the good times. In the good times.
This is before pre-COVID. You absolutely.
I mean, that's like, if I told you, why don't we go over and invest in some things? I hear 4 out of 5 of them lose everything. You wouldn't want to go. I want to change that number. AdManity's goal is to say, okay, look, let's just get every business on the right track. If you had an agency helping you out from day one, you'd probably be great right now, but you didn't. So now get your AdManity reports. Next best thing, maybe even better, because it's, practically, insignificant cost. And it's going to give you many, many more options and ways to do things. You could use it right now. Let's say you don't know anything about advertising and it's just like the farthest thing from your mind, but you have emails, you have social media. Even if you have no money to buy ads right now, you could spiff up all of those, because we give you a whole section of all the words, the phrases, the metaphors, everything that's matched to your brand to sell your product, so that people listen better and remember your brand and associate it to all the right emotions. We've done that, and that's in your report on day one. You could just rewrite your emails, rewrite your website, come up with some social media posts. Your social media people will thank you. Your web people will thank you for giving them the direction. Your salespeople can use these same tactics that I'm talking about for advertising, and just simply adapt them to talking on the phone or Zooming with people to sell them and present the product in an emotionally attractive way. It's dynamite if you just look into it, and realize this is how things get sold. We don't talk about it because our subconscious mind is always on silent, but it's 95% of your mind, and it's doing things that you don't even know it's doing. And if you can speak directly to it, it loves emotions, it loves visuals, it loves to buy things, it loves to make those kind of decisions. So let's let it. That's what AdManity does.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us on the show today. It's been a pleasure, and you literally dropped a wealth of knowledge for all the business owners out there to expand their business in that particular area that is needed the most: marketing, how to strategize. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for having me, Brandy. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for joining the show today.